Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Chris Hoff, and it's time for another kitchen table talk. Today, I'm going to be talking about why is it so hard to ask for help. So recently, Mental Health of America declared that we are in the midst of an isolation epidemic, something I've been talking a lot about. And today I want to talk about give you several reasons why it's so hard to ask for help. And a lot of these are pulled out of this book. All you have to do is ask How to Master the Most Important Skill for Success by Wayne Baker. Great book. Works with Adam Grant closely. So those of you that might be fans of Adam Grant would like that book. But let's talk about the reasons why it's so hard to ask for help. Number one, we underestimate other people's willingness and ability to help, which is unfortunate because global research has shown that people do have high helping behaviors, meaning people want to help you. It's just they're not being asked for the help. So that's number one problem. Number two, we over rely on self-reliance. There was a recent study that 85% of Americans would rather depend on themselves than others. And this is part of the problem of kind of our hardcore individualistic pull yourself up by your bootstrap thing that we have going on in our country here in the States. And it's part and parcel of what's causing this isolation, what's keeping people from asking for help, what's raising the high death by suicide rates among men, particularly in the last couple of years. So we have an over-reliance on self-reliance, and something we need to get rid of. So number three, we perceive social cost to seeking help. Part of this other thing I was just talking about, we don't want to be seen as weak, that there is some cultural expectation here that we're supposed to have all the answers, that we're supposed to be able to figure it out, that we're supposed to be able to pull ourselves up our bootstraps. So we perceive a social cost to asking for help. Something else we need to attend to. So number four, many of our workplaces lack psychological safety. In some workplaces, there could be negative effects to asking for help. That's accurate. I think you're starting to see a larger movement in corporate life about creating psychological safety in workplaces, and there is some momentum in that area, which is great. Number five is systems or structures can get in the way of asking for help. This is probably one of the downsides to, say, Zoom, that most of our lives have been, moved to Zoom at this point. And it's hard to, maybe pull somebody aside and say, hey, I need help when you're sitting in your living room, or home office, whatever, on Zoom all day long, and you just don't have that kind of interface where you can kind of maybe pull somebody aside and say, I'm not doing so well, which is unfortunate. Six, we don't know what to request or how to request it. Many of us aren't very skilled in articulating our needs. So we don't know how to ask for help, or we don't even know what to ask for when we're asking for help, which is unfortunate. So maybe the place to start is just to ask for help and then figure out what might be helpful to you, or those of us in the helping profession be really, clear about asking good questions about what healing might look like, what help might look like for each person that might come to you. Number seven, we worry we haven't earned the privilege of asking for help. Often, many of us, myself included, I've fallen victim to this, is that we want to give before we receive, which unfortunately is one of those other ideas that will isolate us. So, and then finally, number eight, out of all the reasons I'm giving you, we fear seeming selfish. We don't want to be seen as takers. So part of that thing that's there, we don't want to be seen as takers. We don't want to be seen as weak. We don't want to be seen all these ways, which is, unfortunately getting in the way of us asking for help. So what can we do? We can reduce the stigma for asking for help. People like me and maybe people like you can be more vocal and visible about how you're asking for help. I've done these videos where I would show myself walking into my therapist's office, the therapist going to a therapist, and in my DMs I would get a lot of positive feedback from that. which was surprising to me. That people were kind of surprised that a therapist sees a therapist. But I think those kinds of things, being more visible about asking for help, can go a long way. So those are my reasons so maybe some of those sound familiar to you. If they do, my encouragement would be to set those harmful ideas aside a little bit and begin that process of taking a step into some liminal space, asking for help, and seeing what happens. And judging by the research, there's a lot of people out there that want to help you, me included. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm Dr. Chris Hoff. This has been another Kitchen Table Talk. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Thanks for watching.